Hey class, sorry I was unable to be there with you guys today, but here's my leadership plan that I emailed to Helen. First, what my plan is. For me, I don't specifically have a exact plan that I'm trying to implement now. I'm not necessarily in a position as an assistant coach to be implementing practices into a program. Obviously, that's much more of a head coach's position. So what I wanted to do was come up with an overall leadership plan for what my coaching philosophy is. And it's something that hopefully I'm able to then apply to my everyday coaching routine. And by that I mean not something I want to implement, be done with it, and then that's that. It's something I want to do kind of on a daily basis as my coaching career moves forward. Why I chose this plan, originally I think a lot of you guys are doing stuff where you're implementing your thesis into your plan or a plan of how you're implementing your thesis. For me, that really was difficult. I tried to think of something, but ended up coming up with this, which will allow me to be a way to discover the leadership qualities that I find important to my coaching philosophy. And by doing that, it's going to allow me an improved knowledge of different styles, which I think is absolutely important in that you can't just know one or two styles. You need to have a very diverse knowledge of a lot of styles so that you're able to communicate to different players with different needs, coming from different situations, different backgrounds, because every single player is able to be motivated, or led, maybe is a better word, but you have to know different ways of how to get to them. There's not one said way of being able to lead every single person. By that will then allow me better ability to connect to players. And that, I think, absolutely will tie into success from your players, not only on the floor, but in classroom and in life. The skills that I plan on using are an autocratic style, a participative style, and the free reign style, but you can't use just one of the three. You can't just use two of the three. I think a good leader needs to use all three styles. That if you dig your feet into using one style or against using one specific style, it's going to make you an ineffective leader. I think good leaders are able to use all three styles, not necessarily equally, but are able to know when to pick and choose which style to use. The people leaders theory from the 3 skills taxonomy of Katz, which really tries to dive into getting to know the person that you're trying to lead, being able to know how they're feeling, being able to communicate with them, and then being able to create a strong relationship with that person, and that through doing that will allow you to get your message across to that person in an effective way. And then the last one being Covey and his 7 habits of highly successful people. And that I absolutely love, as you guys heard me say before, how much I love Covey's habits of highly successful people, and that it's very much an inside-out approach, and that you need to look within yourself and who you are and how you are approaching things to be able to effectively communicate and impact the people you're trying to get, the people you're trying to lead. The first one will be an autocratic style, which I do think you need to use quite often as a coach. Absolutely in disciplined situations. Now, not necessarily, it's you yelling and screaming at a player, but in situations where a problem will arise, whether you're a by the book kind of person that this crime deserves this punishment, or if you're a case by case type person, you need to be the law, and the players need to know that you're the law and will respect you that you are the law in those circumstances. Specific team rules need to be done in an autocratic style, such as things from X's and O's as to I want to be a man-to-man type team, playing man-to-man defense and running motion offense or whatever style you want to run. I think that needs to be you as a coach determining that and not allowing that up to the players. But then also other things such as how the players need to handle themselves off the floor, in the classroom. Those things as well need to be autocratic and unflexible. Most organizational aspects of the team need to be done in an autocratic style. Things such as, what time you're going to leave on a road trip, or what hotel you're going to stay at, which bus line you're going to take. Those type of things, those administrative type duties, absolutely need to be done in an autocratic style, just because it's pointless to have your players thinking or worrying or trying to deal with any of that. So absolutely, you as a coach need to take control of those things and handle them yourself. For the most part as well, scouting and recruiting are also going to be done in autocratic styles, because you're the one with the vision in your mind as to how this team needs to look, and the type of players you need to bring in, as well as the way you're going to attack. Now, there are going to be some situations where that won't be the case, but we'll touch on those as we get there. Participative, most of the time is going to be spent in this style, especially times when you are around the team. And just about any time you're around the team, I think it's going to be done for the most part in a participative style. Corrective coaching, I think it's really important to allow players an attempt to explain why they did something. So if you're asking Johnny, well, why did you dribble into that double team? Well, maybe Johnny's got some explanation as to why he did what he did and can justify it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you as a coach have to agree with it, but I think it is important to at least allow them to explain why they did something. Not in every situation, but I think it can be an effective way to get a player to think more in depth as to what they did, why they did what they did. And then to try to pose things to players in question and answer situations where you're not just getting a yes or no answer out of a player. I think a lot of times you can be trying to tell a player what you want them to do, and they'll be giving you the head nod and yep, you're right, yes sir, type answers, and it maybe doesn't necessarily register with them, where if you pose a question to a player in a form that will make them give you an in-depth answer back as to, well, Johnny, instead of dribbling into the double team, what should you have done? Well, I should have swung the ball and cut through and set a screen and done this. I think that's a much more effective way to connect and get into your players and get them to understand what you're trying to get at. And then I think there are occasions where scouting situations can be a participative, kind of back and forth situation with a player, but definitely not something I would do on the floor. It's something more that I would do in my office, kind of one-on-one with that player. Let's say you're going against a guy who's really good coming off ball screens, and he just killed you on it the first time, and you're perplexed, and you're racking your brain on it and not sure exactly what the best way to handle it is. So, you talk to the player and ask them how they feel they would want to have us guard the ball screens. Do we want a big show? Do we want a hedge? Do we want to chuck it? Do we want to trap it? Do we want to go under it? So there's a lot of different ways, and so then you're able to go back and forth with the player and come up with a situation that will allow you to maybe attack a situation better. The free reign style, I think, is the one that you'll use the least of the three. I would try to give players free reign for all things that, as a coach, I do not worry about, such as the shoe and jersey styles, the way they want to look, what colors they want, things like that, the kind of restaurants that they want to eat at on road trips, movies to bring on the bus. As long as they're not obscene and, with reason, I'll give them complete full reign to select all those things, because it will give the players much more of an ownership of the team and what they are doing, which I think can be effective. But again, like I said, it's something that I would only use on things I don't worry about. If I'm going to worry about it, I want to have my fingers in it. Not necessarily that it's going to be all me, but at least a participative plan where there's at least a little back and forth, and I kind of can have